Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. How you guys doing?
Skeptical cat in the house. Murrow. Bellina. Something seems off. I like those names.
Good to see you guys. So, as always, lots going on in the world around us. Of course, we have that, one thing that's going on that I'm sure is on most people's minds a ton. And so I think we need to escape from that, because it could just pull us down. So, taking a look at other things and a little bit lighter things in some cases, in some cases maybe a little more interesting and less morbid.
Less morbid, more entertaining. Higher vibe, more good, better stuff.
Oh, there's so many familiar names. Nicole, Mark Jones, Chicky, Deej, Molly, Mark Mucci, Amy, Joffrey, Morningstar.
Awesome. Cliff, Chris, Shaw, Nuclear, Quantum Lasers, Pew, Pew, Pew. Hi.
Good to see you guys. What's up, says Calvin, besides the sky? Well, thankfully the sky's not falling.
I know, it's not. It's not falling.
Knowledge 2020. Though we've been watching, when we get a chance to unplug, guys, we've been watching a lot of, seems like there's a ton of like alien flicks out there. Alien invasion flicks, that are out there now. It seems to be like one of the big categories.
Imagine that, alien flicks. How most appropriate right now.
Definitely. Good to see you, Gary. Matilda. I hope all you guys are doing really, really well. I hope everybody is feeling really, really positive. Mark says, where's the presidential seal? Now you see it. Now you don't.
That is so strange. What is up with that?
And then you see it again. And then you don't. So.
Yeah. It's like something's moody about that seal.
Yeah, there's so much going on, so much misdirection, I feel, and a lot of look over here, while something else is going on over there. We are definitely living in big times, momentous times, absolutely momentous times.
Upgrades, downloads, DNA stuff. I mean, it really couldn't be a better time. Hi, Grizzly. Roar!
Ooh, that was pretty good.
Are you guys' ears okay?
I think they're going to live.
Okay.
Lots of sky traffic, Chris P. says last night. Last night there was just clouds. And, it's crazy because there's been so much rain. And as we said, the desert is getting greener every single day. There's more grass popping out everywhere. It's just really weird. It's wet and chilly.
It is. And yeah, there is a lot of grass popping up. It would be so cool if we could keep that grass.
Yeah. Fibra May is talking about something that we all kind of know is kind of coming. We're not going to specifically talk about it on this channel because it'll go bye as well as the first channel. Everything that's going on. I just heard James Munder get demonized as well as we did. And I think the battle is raging. It is raging in so many ways. And we did a couple things over on, let's see, what did I do? I forget if I... See, you would think that, like, if I'm searching for myself, especially when, it's been searched before, you'd find it. There you go. And I just wanted to share, if you guys saw this one, I just put up interesting stuff. And perhaps the start, maybe, of more and more people waking up and really starting to do something about the situation in the world. So, it's something. It's something, and we need something. We need to start to get more and more hope
We do. We do need something. And this was really enlightening. I liked the guy's energy. He felt real. He felt sincere. He's actually, doing something more than just lip service.
Yeah. So Mark says that Jason Goodman with Crowdsource the Truth as well was hit. We're still rolling Atlantean Gardens as well, and I really enjoy his stuff. I love to do more of that stuff. That stuff's just fun. Looking into the history, putting it all together, it's just good stuff. It's so much fun. Bob Barker, you're no longer the crazy guy in the family. There's a lot of us that are no longer looking as crazy as everybody thought we were.
Yeah, they're more like looking for us now because they want information, but that's nice to hear, and not that I want anyone to feel bad or anything, but it's like we've been talking about this and the changes and all these things going on for years because we can feel them coming. We're so sensitive.
Yeah, definitely. We don't use DLive yet, and honestly, our time has been very constrained with trying to create a home and trying to keep this afloat with the channels and videos and working on more and more people with distance energy, and Cindy's got so many Vedic charts going consistently. So our days have been very, very full. I think once we get the house up, the earth bag house up that we're going to start building, then once that's up, as long as, it's not a Night of the Comet situation, as we had talked about that movie, and then I think Rex brought it up. Mm-hmm. Rex was talking about Night of the Comet. If you guys want to watch it, campy, but kind of fun, cheaply done, but enjoyable flick from the 80s, check out Night of the Comet. It's interesting. It's just fun. It's like one of those cult classics.
Since we're all kind of at home anyway, you might as well find some entertainment.
And, speaking about Night of the Comet, so, we've been so focused on Comet Atlas, and you see this was 4 hours ago. Comet Atlas could blazon a view this month, and it might be amazing. It might be stupendous. We heard about how big it's getting. The tail is like 2.5 times the span of the sun now. Yet there's some cause for concern that this might just fizzle out, or at least that's what they're telling us. It's interesting to see what's happening. Here you see is bright Comet Atlas disintegrating. And then space weather is saying that it might be fragmenting. So new data is showing basically what we were seeing here. This elongation, which may indicate that it's actually starting to break up. That's big for me. I have to admit, I keep telling people you gotta get unprogrammed and deprogram yourself so that you can see things in a new light. Yet, Nostradamus's quatrains are always in my head because I just studied the crap out of them, especially as a kid. And so many of his key quatrains for our time frame, or what's thought to be our time frame, involve the appearance of a big comet. So everything we see going on in the world today, obviously Comet Atlas seemed to be like another puzzle piece. So what if it turns out to just fall apart and disintegrate right now, and poof, it's gone? I think I would actually breathe a little easier as long as we didn't go through the debris field.
Right. I would definitely breathe easier because this is something that I've been thinking about, and I've been kind of wondering about, is this why they're kind of huddling us all home and making us sort of be prepared? Is there something more with this comet that they're not talking about? So if this bugger did fizzle out, I would really breathe easier.
Yeah, and as you guys are talking about, is it the blue Kachina, right? The blue Kachina comes first and then the red Kachina. It's been kind of, as we said, blue-green, kind of teal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like teal, but I don't know, maybe their colors were a little different back then.
Well, too, I mean, there's a lot of ways we could look at stuff, right? For one, we can also look at, as we were talking about yesterday, with the Schumann resonance going crazy right when all the global meditations were going on. Is there a coincidence there?
Just a little one.
Maybe, and we have a lot of power. So if we unify, we could do amazing things. What if this planet was so differently run? What if we recognized, the inherent power we have within us to manifest a positive destiny, a positive future, and we weren't run by these corporations and these greedy beings that seem so intent on destroying everything around them and just poisoning the planet, poisoning the food supply, hoarding the food supply, making seeds even to be illegal to sell in some areas when we have a food crisis going on. It's just crazy.
It is. And no, I haven't hit the tuning forks yet. We'll make sure we do that at the end.
So, and then here for real news says, well, what if it's another psyop? We don't know. I think a lot of us that are awake, we're all almost, we're getting whiplash, thinking, is this another psyop? You're looking to the left, you're looking to the right, you're wondering what's going on. There's a lot going on, and it's tough to see through. We could see through a lot of the lies really quick and easy, but as far as agendas, we're always wondering. We know a big part of it, and there's some things that we're not going to state directly on this channel now, so we don't ruin this one, and we could keep it going. But it's obvious, there's a huge war against humanity being waged.
There is. And, with our waking up and our abilities getting stronger and things coming online and things being uncovered, because now we can at least get more information than we used to come online and understand our history a little bit better. And at least we can understand that our history's been covered up.
And so Renee Perry brings up something very interesting there, talking about the similar gematria between these two events, objects, things, whatever they are. Very interesting, very, very interesting. So it's potentially fragmenting, according to space weather here. So we see Comet Atlas C 2019 Y4. What are you doing? So new data from astronomers around the world show that the once promising comet is beginning to fade. And so Carl Badams of the Naval Research Lab in Washington, D.C. said it could be a classic case of I told you so, too good to be true. It's going to be a nothing burger, perhaps, or perhaps not. So he says, quoting himself from March 15th, I wouldn't be surprised to see Comet Atlas start to fade rapidly and possibly even disintegrate before reaching the sun. He said he very much hopes he's wrong, but Comet Elenin did something similar several years ago, holding lots of promise and then just fizzling. In recent months, Atlas galvanized astronomers as it fell towards the sun, skyrocketing in brightness like few comets before it. By late May 2020, it promised to rival Venus in the sunset sky, but recent developments belie that possibility. On April 6, astronomers Quanzi Yi of the University of Maryland and QiGong Zhang of Caltech reported new images of Comet Atlas in which its core appears to be elongating, as would be expected from a major disruption of the nucleus. So it's possible this is the beginning of the end. Recent measurements of the comet's position also point to trouble. Badams explains the comet's orbit is now being influenced by non-gravitational forces. So that makes you say, huh? What? What do you mean, non-gravitational forces? Like Cindy was saying, what?
Yeah, I mean, is there such a thing? Well, what's non-gravitational forces? That would mean forces that are not natural, maybe?
Well, they say these forces are the result of gases lifting off the comet nucleus and causing the nucleus to move very slightly in the opposite direction, like a jet engine. Most active comets experience this to some degree, but Atlas's non-gravitational forces have kicked in very abruptly and are quite strong. This supports the narrative of a small nucleus being pushed very strongly by extreme outgassing, possibly along with fragmentation. And finally, let's not forget that Atlas, now I don't think they know for sure. They're just going by the trajectory. But they're saying right here, let's not forget that Atlas is a fragment of a larger unidentified comet also related to the Great Comet of 1844. Fragmenting is a family trait for these guys. Interesting, as you see the light curve there. So is it doom? Not necessarily. The frustrating thing about comets is we often don't know exactly what they're doing or why they're doing it. Or perhaps even exactly what they really are, maybe. Instead of a dirty ice ball, dirty snowball, there's still a chance that Comet Atlas is just taking a breather before another outburst. But I wouldn't count on it, so says Badams. So, they say they're still encouraging people to monitor it, of course, and see what happens. So is it disintegrating? And if it disintegrates, what will that mean? Will we pass through a debris field? That's another whole different thing. Does that mean that there would be a much, much larger, it seems like it would likely, debris field? And the other thing, too, they talked about it changing its orbit. Well, which way is it heading? They didn't say.
So just because even if it does disintegrate, that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods totally. I kind of felt like we'd be out of the woods, but maybe not.
Yeah, and DH57 says, ship is slowing down. Yeah, and I was watching and reading a lot of different threads on some of the different forums about it. And some people had said that, but I didn't see anything where a scientist was quoted saying it's slowing down. But maybe, how do we really know what these things really are? We really don't. That's the bottom line, because, they obviously don't always share with us the truth.
No, they don't. They wouldn't dare share with us the truth, or we might figure out more stuff. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why so many people are being demonetized. That's the True Truth channels. It's not a nice thing to do, but I don't know. We'll work through it. We always do.
Yeah. And Crispy says plant orgone by where. And that's a whole other situation now as well. I was going to do a video on the fact that there's bonfires going on in certain spots where there happens to be certain, structures there. Yeah. Interesting. I really feel like the world is waking up now en masse. It really feels like it.
It does. So I was really happy to see that. Not that I condone any of this naughty behavior, but I think that people can be a force to reckon with once they've been woken up, and that's exactly why they're shutting so many of us down, to make sure that, because money is so important to them. I mean, they need it to function and survive and pay all of their bills, and without this new FIVE alphabet letter thing, I don't even want to go near saying it. They might not have the power structures that that they need.
So Grizzly said, what if it's wormwood? Nicole doesn't think it is. You got to wonder if it breaks up. It depends on where it's breaking up. It's interesting. It's an interesting conjecture. If it did spread out into a lot of different pieces, then there would be some chance of stuff coming in. And honestly, when Cindy was in meditation before, I don't even know if she remembers, but one of the things that she got was she was worried about like fragments of the comet coming in, potentially bringing in things that could make people sick. Did you remember that?
That one I do remember because I had a dream about that too. So I do remember.
I say the V word, but basically saying that there could be stuff. You know, if it is truly a dirty ice ball, then is there bacteria and other things potentially frozen on there that if we pass through the debris field could eventually make it into the planet? You know, space does have bacteria in it, and it has the V word in it too, which now the way things are censored so much, you don't want to even say VIRUS, it's amazing too, because it's just automatically they demonetize. So that brings up that possibility too, and there is the thought that even that life came from an impact of a comet with the planet originally, and that's what brought water to the planet.
Right. There's a lot of evidence of that too. But again, they don't give us all the information. They don't give us the whole story, because if they did that, then we would realize we don't need them as much, or their systems.
Yeah, definitely. There's how are you guys sleeping? Last night was another long night. It seems like I get a fairly decent night's sleep, and then next night don't sleep at all. Fairly decent night's sleep, and then don't sleep at all.
I know it's been like every 3 nights we get a decent night's sleep, but I'm super grateful for that one decent night's sleep, because the other ones, they kind of suck.
Yeah, that's why we're going live a little bit slightly earlier, because we're going to target an early bedtime tonight, guys. It's fascinating to see we have so many things converging right now. And so Biz Bizzle is talking about the dragon of Revelation. And, then of course we have Mother Shipton's dragon, and we have, dragons from many other traditions. We were showing how the Hopi were talking about the Draco, and Hopi legends also, talk about them living inside the reptilian beings that live inside the earth. And it all kind of goes, together, pretty interesting and pretty well. And comets, asteroids. Yeah. So what is it going to do? That's a big question. My gut says it's going to be hanging around, but we'll see. We'll see, most definitely. I just feel like this is still a very important comet. That's what I get from intuition.
I know. It's going to be interesting. I'm really watching this. In a way, I do feel it's going to bring some kind of change. Even if it does disintegrate, it's going to bring a sweeping change. And I believe it's going to be for the better, as long as we remain in high vibration. Yeah,
most definitely. We got to keep our vibes high. It looks more green than blue to me in these photos.
Looking more green.
Beautiful Bisbee. I love Bisbee, Arizona. It's a great little town. So Stephen Pauken in Bisbee, Arizona caught this image on March 16th. So we'll see what this is going to do. This is really very, very curious, to say the least. And here's yet another article talking about the possible disintegration of Atlas. And what would that mean, kind of like symbolically? Because remember, Atlas is the titan that holds the earth on its shoulders. So, think about that. If Atlas does disintegrate, is that another message? Is it saying that which holds the earth up is disintegrating?
Oh, well, maybe it's time for a whole new system, though.
A whole new earth.
Yes. That would be nice.
It is most definitely time for a new system. Most definitely.
Indeed, it is. Totally and completely.
Six Strings says turn off your router cable and every device 2 hours before you go to bed. We've been doing that. And we did it last night too. There was nothing there. Just wicked wind last night. Incredible winds going on.
Yeah, the winds they're beautiful and they're vicious, but gosh, they're noisy, so noisy. But it's okay. I did sleep better. I do sleep better when we turn everything off 2 hours before.
Micah 76 says, saw a huge shadow cross the road on the way to work the other day. You know, okay, so last night when we were just hanging out and relaxing before going to bed, I saw something dark. It looked kind of like it was boxy, very big, but the closest street is 6 and 7 miles away. So, you know, it wasn't anything driving down the road, because that would look tiny, you know, in the distance. This was big. But then again, we've seen an F-22 fly down right next to us along the highway, about 6 feet off the ground, and it was purely silent. So we've seen some military stuff too. This kind of reminded me like that, except for it was like a dark shadow. So I wonder if it was something to do with something on a different, you know, like as we would say, behind the veil, or the thinning of the veil that's going on right now, is something in a different dimension that I was just able to see.
Those shadow beings, they're huge and they're big, and they can carry a lot of really bad energy. Sage will help keep them away.
We have a lot of sage. We have a ton of sage. Yeah. So, Bob Barker says, my daughter can see a man in a cloak. He's a shadow. Yeah, this was huge. This was big. Would have been the size, I would say, of, it seemed like an 18-wheeler, at least in size. But, you know, where it was, there was no road. It was, there's no way it was there. So, interesting stuff, most definitely. And then when I was trying to get Cindy's attention when we were going live before we did, it's because I saw a bright flash of white light up in the corner. And I was trying to see if you got it. You saw it.
Well, that one I missed. No, most of the time we do see each other's, but I missed it. I've been busy doing charts.
Yeah, she's always head down doing charts now.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on now. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on. I think the veil is like non-existent now, and we're seeing a lot of other beings all around us.
But you know, when you do talk about it, though, my heart chakra starts to go off, so that tells me a little something about that.
Yeah, that felt positive. Most definitely. It was a brilliant white flash, which I've seen before. One time I was in bed, and this is a long time ago, with my ex at the time, and we're both just reading. And I was actually reading Gnosis of the Cosmic Christ. And, you know, it's a Gnostic Christian text. And it was really positive, and I was in a very high vibe reading it, really resonating with it. And all of a sudden, the room got so bright. I looked at her, she looked at me, and it was just like there was this white light like up over the bed that just got so bright and then disappeared. And it was weird, but it felt like a blessing. You know, really felt like it was kind of angelic.
Mm-hmm. Those things do happen. And Grizzly says, Mike and Cindy, am I supposed to stand my ground when confronted? Grizzly, I choose my battles. You know, it depends. It depends on, are you protecting someone or something that can't protect itself? It just really depends on the situation. That's what I do, and that's what I feel. I'm very picky and choosy about where I expend my energy, though.
Yeah, we have to be careful of that as well. So Matilda says, 10 miles off any road last night, there was a buzzing out the door. No overhead wires. Could hear a pin drop. No wind. No neighbor within miles. Yeah, you know, wild stuff. Wild stuff that we're seeing. You know, lots of things in the sky. No, you didn't miss the tuning yet, Azaduzaman. Not yet. Nope. So we still have that going on. And then over here, because as we shared, it does seem like there's a plan out there. A plan to make us afraid. You know, basically, it's one thing after another. As we talked about, you know, we had, after World War II, we had the Russian threat, you know, all that paranoia about the communists. Then we went into, you know, the 9/11 era, where it's all about the terrorists, you know. And so what's next? Well, now, supposedly on the agenda is asteroids, followed up by alien invasion. And of course, we have the Space Force going on now. At least it's openly out there. And this is the National Near Earth Object Preparedness Strategy and Action Plan, in case you guys haven't seen it. So it's out of whitehouse.gov. It's a PDF. So, some of us love to read the official White House documents, because sometimes it feels like it's like you could see, okay, well, we know the direction we're going to be steered next.
Yes, it does give us an idea of what they're going to do to us next. Mm-hmm.
And of course, Atlas, the telescope that found it basically is all about, detecting near-Earth asteroids that could hit us. So, that's what it's about. And then you see here, getting into near-Earth object impact hazard. And then when I see the fact that the thing, it might fragment, well, what if it waits to fragment until, I guess it would be most likely to fragment as its closest approach to the sun. That would seem to be the most logical. I might be wrong, but from what I've read, I believe its closest approach to us is after that. So we'll have to see when it fragments. If it does fragment, maybe it won't fragment, but it just feels like now we're being set up to expect some sort of impacts. That's the next thing that we got to worry about here. And just checking out some of the comments there. As Nicole says, follow your instincts. We always got to follow our instincts. That's our left brain, which runs most of our lives. A lot of times, it will follow the programming. So sometimes you could get a truer answer when you kind of quiet it, still it a little bit. And you might get an actually a clearer answer.
You will, if you just kind of quiet your mind and see what comes into it. That's kind of what I do, and I get some pretty interesting stuff, and it works. It just works.
And so, we know all the satellites that Elon Musk has put up there as well, and just there was a rush of, I think it was December 2017. It was the same time when all the world leaders went down to Antarctica. I think that was 2017. I don't think that was maybe it was 2018. But then there was a rush of satellites going up into space too. Obviously they know a lot more than we do. But how do we not know what they're shooting up there, knowing that eventually something might come back down as well? And we're seeing tons of fireballs. We talked about it on the Earth Changes one today. More and more, fireballs going on as well. Here you see the Air Force is going to transfer 23 missions, 1,840 billets to the Space Force. And so it gets into talking about how some Air Force workers will not become necessarily Space Force workers, but they'll be doing missions for Space Force. So Space Force is becoming legit, and it's going to be part of us going forward, and I guess we'll get used to that whole idea. And it talks into some of the locations where I'm going to be transferred to, and we're seeing places like up in Colorado at Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado, and these are going to be connected to Space Force. Wright-Patterson in Ohio, lots of UFO activity over there, gotta tell you. And again, a lot of that could be top secret military stuff. Shriver in Colorado, Nellis, Nevada. You see a lot in Colorado. And of course, we had that whole scenario with the drones in Colorado, which I don't think ever really got solved either. So mostly you see a lot in Colorado. We see Ohio at Wright-Patterson. We see Kirtland over in New Mexico, Edwards, California. So, yeah, you might be seeing some interesting things up in the sky over there. Get set for a super pink moon. Yes, the super moon. So, Sky watchers are in a treat Tuesday when you're going to have a super pink moon lighting up the sky. The moon will rise on the evening of the 7th of April and burn brightly all night long. So obviously, too, we'd have to wait a couple weeks before, if the comet's still there, to really start to see it because of the brightness of the moon as well, unless you have, good binoculars or a telescope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of power in the moon, too. The moon can do some pretty miraculous things. That energy, that pull. The moon is a really cool object. I'm still not sure. Is it a spacecraft, though? I don't know.
I think it's, my gut tells me that, they're up there and in there. Now whether it is a natural satellite that's been hollowed out, that would be my most likely guess. But then, of course, there's that whole idea of it being, just a holographic overlay. And it's really like looking up at the Death Star.
And there's also the stories that the ancients talk about the time before the moon.
Yeah, which is fascinating stuff. And, that's in a lot of traditions, including Greece, as well as a lot of Native American traditions and others as well. So this is going to be the closest point of the year that's going to be to the Earth. Interesting, too. Yeah, I feel that it's maybe it's the home base for some watchers.
It could be. It could be. Ray says, that ain't no moon, Cindy. Yeah, I know. It's something weird.
Yeah, it rang like a bell when the astronauts landed on it. So, interesting. And, it doesn't have the proper density for the size it is if it was made from the same stuff as the Earth. And then we had a recent study out that says it's not, of the same material as the Earth. And in fact, that it probably was farther out, like perhaps around Saturn. And at some point in time. So pretty fascinating stuff.
It is extremely fascinating. I could just get lost in this information. It's good stuff.
Most definitely. And here we see the hunt for aliens. Saturn's moon, Enceladus, could be home to life. So argue scientists. Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff there as well. Europa always comes to mind because it's got frozen oceans. So what's under that as well? I think that life abounds out there. Honestly, that's my opinion. And I think there's tons of life. I just think we've been kind of led to believe that there's nothing else out there but us, because they've been here the whole time. They watch us, and perhaps they do experiments on us, and perhaps they help to reset us every so often when we get too unified, too big for our britches, too close to being ready to go off planet and do what they do.
Yeah, when we start figuring things out, then it's no fun. Then we're not very good test subjects anymore.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we were talking about earlier today. Another huge fireball shoots over Europe. The quote, "I thought it was going to strike." That would be freaky, and will we see that? And then there have been prophecies of the Earth being hit by 3 large bodies. And then we had that new movie with the guy from 300. What's the actor's name? But anyway, we were talking about that movie, and that was all about what we're seeing. A comet, and then all sorts of, debris coming down. You can't make this stuff up, guys.
And Grizzly says, what if the moon is just a big old honeycomb? A bear can dream. Yes, Grizzly, you can.
No dinner yet, Grizz? You getting a little hungry there?
I'm hungry.
So Ricky will check it out. I guess she sent a photo of a strange bird thing. There's a lot of strange things out there. We're going to be seeing strange things. I think we're going to be seeing strange creatures. Yeah, I had a weird dream of just like a hamster-like creature. I just remember this from last night, but it only had one eye. It was like a cyclops, a little adorable little hamster cyclops with just one eye. That was just bizarre.
That sounds kind of cute and precious.
It was. It was very, very cute. Very cute. Okay, Crystal Core says they get info from the Arcturian Council, and they say the moon is a neutral space. I have heard that there's many different races on the moon. It's kind of like you said, a neutral space that is inhabited by many different beings from different places. And every time we go to the property that we are working on, we are greeted by a flash of light in the exact same place every single time. And Cindy feels a strong Pleiadian vibe from them.
Really strong. And it's like the first night we were out there too, I had this dream about this. I felt like a portal opened over the property too. And it was, I could see it. I could draw a picture of the stars and the door and the veil. It was all very interesting.
Yeah. And is there anything that you want to share as far as from when you've gone into your meditations from what you have channeled? Because this is something that she's been doing on a regular basis. And as you guys know, we kind of prioritize our meditation time and our QiGong time. And one thing I will share is that I could strongly feel the earth is really rocking. It's really rocking. I wonder if any of you guys are paying attention to compass points and seeing motion, because I know there was several out there. There was like a handful of people that were on a regular basis kind of letting me know what they're seeing about the compass being off. And sometimes there was pretty big swings of quite a few degrees. But I mean, I feel it so strongly as soon as I start doing my standing QiGong. It's like we're on a boat, guys. The earth is really moving and shaking right now.
It was really rocking. And as far as things I've been getting through meditation, they want us to work on balance, being in harmony, being the best person you can be. So it's still more of a high vibrational information that I'm getting, except for they really emphasized balance in our lives. Being good to yourself, being good to your family, and just kind of standing back, taking a look at your life and seeing what could you do to bring more balance.
Well, we need to bring more balance, personally and to the planet, as the dark forces are trying to bring more chaos and more imbalance and more destruction. So we have to try to counteract that as much as we can and send out energy to kind of slowly stop their plan and stop their motion, their forward motion, which we can do. And if more and more of us wake up, I really do think that surge we saw in the Schumann was related to the global meditations, the global prayers going on. And, the benevolent ones are there. And, of course, then we have the angelic realm. And, of course, the source creator. In my opinion, this is a free will zone. So that's why we see some chaos, because you have some beings that take advantage of other beings. But at the same time, I believe that source wants us to operate out of love. And as we operate out of love and compassion, we go up. Our vibration goes up and we start heading back towards source.
Yeah, and there were some things that came through, like with... a lot of us struggle with PTSD, and it's something where when you get wounded, your energy field gets wounded. And they were saying something about trying to remove the source, because you don't want to keep revisiting, like we have these triggers and stuff, and we want to try to avoid any triggers. Just totally remove the source. If there's something that keeps triggering you, do your best to exclude that out of your life so that wound can finally heal, because it's like a scab that's being picked off over and over and over again. And that's another thing that came through the other day. So if anybody's dealing with that, do your very, very best to stand back and be good to yourself and remove that issue as best you can.
So let's see if we get Cindy to clear the air for us, and we'll send some light and love to the earth and everybody on it. And let's see that the the plague that has hit the world will go away without any more loss to our freedoms, our rights, and our ability to make our own choices, and without any more lives lost. So let's send that intention out for healing, and let's send the intention out that peace and compassion are going to prevail, and the darker forces are going to be removed from power. So may you guys be blessed with love, light, peace, happiness, health, and wellness. And may the light grow in our hearts and in our minds. And may we share it with the world and transform into a beautiful paradise that's awaiting us.
Be really, really good to yourself. Take good care of yourself. Drink lots of water. Put your healthiest self-image in your mind and have a super happy day. And we love you guys, and thanks for showing up.
Thanks, you guys, for showing up again, and we'll do this again tomorrow. And as always, guys, God bless. Stay safe. Namaste.
Namaste.